On this episode of Lifeguard, extreme heat takes its toll on a young kayaker in La Jolla.
Dispatch 31 Sam requesting medics from Avenida de la Playa for an 18-year-old female. 31 Sam, you are getting engine 9, medic 24.
She looked like she was barely conscious. She kind of had the eyes rolled back in her head a little bit, dizziness, a little bit of difficulty breathing. All that stuff is serious stuff.
Then, a hidden danger wreaks havoc in the waters of Del Mar.
North Beach Station 3, Stingray victim, needs transport.
When the stinger goes into your foot, it has venom on it, this toxin that's going to start to really be very painful.
And when the wind changes for the worse at Black's Beach, lifeguards race to save a downed paraglider.
This person fell from approximately 200 feet, so very likely they could have a spinal injury.
Yes, fine.
The lifeguards of Southern California protect over 400 miles of coastline. And nothing impacts their day like the weather.
As lifeguards, a lot of us are amateur meteorologists.
Good weather brings a lot of excitement, a lot of action.
On these beaches, lifeguards are the first responders.
I have a 911 call of a distressed swimmer.
I like those exciting days where you don't really know what's going to happen.
Dispatch, the person injured on a vessel.
They are there to save you. They are there to lifeguard. In San Diego, the temperature is often regulated by an inbound sea breeze. Winds from the west sweep across the cold California current and bring cool air onto the beaches.
If you're on the coast, temperatures are relatively cool. If you go inland, you don't have to go inland too far. They can get quite hot in the summertime. When it's that hot, sometimes people want to get away from that heat, and they're going to want to come to the beach where it's considerably cooler.
At the northern end of San Diego, beneath Torrey Pines State Reserve, lies Black's Beach. Tucked tightly up against the 400-foot cliffs, this 5-mile stretch of sand is only accessible by steep and narrow trails.
Black's Beach is a very unique beach. The guards that work up here have a lot of challenges. Doesn't have a lot of good access via improved trails or roads. And if we have an injury down on this beach, it's a lot harder to get a paramedic down there than it is if we have an injury near the boardwalk, say at Mission Beach.
The San Diego Lifeguards' presence at Black's Beach is most visible with their special outpost known as the Perch. Set high atop the cliff's edge, from this tactical vantage point, the guards have a bird's-eye view on several miles of beach below, and a front row seat to the beach's other attraction, paragliding. Here, the winds are like no other place in Southern California.
The weather at Black's Beach is a very interesting area. We have these relatively large cliffs, and when the sea breeze starts to kick in, the sea breeze is going to be moving from the water toward the land, but when it hits those cliffs, it is forced upwards, and it gives a nice uplift to the air that the hang gliders will take advantage of.
Without the weather, we wouldn't be flying. It's very important to the sport, no matter where you go in the world to fly, and specifically here. And it's real unique, this location. It has this specific coastal eddy, which is referred to quite often, and it creates very favorable conditions here at Torrey Pines.
Experts like Jeremy Bishop have learned to navigate the sky for rides that last up to 8 hours.
Paragliding is close to you can get as flying like a bird as possible. You're just focused and enjoying, and you're feeling the next good piece of wind. And the only sound you have is a little bit of wind over your ears. If you're close to a friend, you can literally talk to them, no problem. Typically, we're flying between 4,000 and 1,000 feet above the ocean. Flying without a motor and only using Mother Nature is just something very, very special. There's only a few types of aircraft in the world that can maintain and sustain a flight plan, and the paragliding is at the top of the list for that right now.
Although paragliders are relatively easy to fly, one can never underestimate what happens when the weather or wind changes.
fall approximately 200 feet. He's on the Citizens Trail right now.
Lifeguard Jason Yeager witnessed the unthinkable.
I was watching a paraglider above me in the canyon lose wind in his sail, and I was watching to see when he was going to watch him recover, but he didn't recover. I'd say he fell at least 200 feet, from 200 feet up. It was a loud noise, and he bounced off the cliffside pretty hard.
Lifeguard Yeager rushed up to the victim, climbing in an area he'd known his entire life.
I grew up here in La Jolla, University City area. Went to University City High School, played every sport there is. Was heavily involved in basketball, Pop Warner. Then I started realizing that I was more of a water type of guy, so I got into water polo and swim. Took that with me to college.
Jason earned a degree in marketing from Long Beach State, but felt that his calling was with the United States Navy. So he enlisted, excelled, and found himself in the middle of the toughest course on the planet, Basic Underwater Demolition SEALs Training, or BUDS.
The training that you get at BUDS it's a kick in the pants. It pushes your limits, not only physically, but mentally as well. I mean, you don't get much sleep. And after going through something like that, nothing else really seems that difficult.
Unfortunately for Jason, during the 24-week training, his dream of becoming a Navy SEAL suffered a tragic fate.
I was injured out. I had some nerve damage in my neck, compressed some discs.
The injuries he sustained ended Jason's path to the Navy SEALs, but the La Jolla, California native was driven to serve. So he joined the San Diego Lifeguards and became a part of the elite crew that patrol the demanding Black's Beach. Yeager immediately calls the accident into La Jolla Shore's main tower, then scrambles to aid the victim.
When I got to the victim, I couldn't see any broken bones, but he had severe chest and back pain, and he had loss of consciousness, and he was coughing up blood. Well, after doing an initial assessment on his limbs, I couldn't find any broken extremities, and I saw some major bruising on his lumbar area on his back, and I figured maybe he had some traumatic injuries internally.
Lifeguard Sergeant Troy Keach is at La Jolla Shores when the call comes in.
Drove up here, code 3, and in the way, we try to get everything going. I got units coming from all over the city, fire units. I've also got a fire helicopter responding.
Number 2, go ahead.
We had a hang glider fall approximately 200 feet, so we're going to be requesting you to head that direction. And I'll establish command once I get on scene.
ETA, 8 minutes.
That's definitely a code 3 fall, and I'm thinking the worst. I think somebody's going to be dead.
Meanwhile, 3 miles south at La Jolla Shores, the inland heat wave continues to bring people to the beach. But a lack of strong winds on the coast has also turned up the temperature at La Jolla Shores.
It's been really hot, and it's Sunday, and it's midday, and there's some surf. There's about 1 million people on the beach. When you get lots of kayaks going out, lots of surfers, lots of swimmers, waders, people hanging out on the beach, then eventually something's gonna happen.
Lifeguard Hodel's words prove to be correct. As the heat wave continues to beat down, an 18-year-old female kayaker has returned to the beach complaining of exhaustion. 10 minutes earlier, her kayak had capsized at sea. The extreme heat and trauma of the accident has left the woman in bad shape on the beach.
What do you feel like right now?
We're driving south, and one of the kayak guides flagged us down, and he said that there was a girl that was brought in from her tour that was potentially dehydrated.
Yeah, our pulse is super fast. It's like your chest and your legs, what? Feels numb.
Given the victim's condition, Lifeguard Sergeant Ben Lewis radios dispatch.
Dispatch, 31 Sam, requesting medics from Avenida de la Playa for an 18-year-old female. She's alert and oriented ×4. Her chief complaint is exhaustion and tingling in her extremities after kayaking. She's in mild status. 31 Sam, you are getting engine 9, medic 24.
With several minutes before paramedics arrive, lifeguards will put their EMT training to the test to keep the victim stable.
Immediately when we saw her, it was pretty clear that it was going to be something really serious. She looked like she was barely conscious. She kind of had the eyes rolled back in her head a little bit. dizziness, a little bit of difficulty breathing. All that stuff is serious stuff. We put her on oxygen, we took all her vitals, we kept questioning her about her medical history.
No allergies, no meds? What'd you have to eat today? Couldn't quite figure out what exactly was going on, but tingling throughout her whole body.
Check her eyes, are they pearl?
Yep, pearl and equal. So definitely wanted to get her to a higher level of care. What finger am I touching?
Give respiration, fella.
We'll check right now. Did you say you swallowed a little bit of water though, when you were out there?
Say again?
Barely stand in.
You feel like you can't move? Okay, well, we're gonna take care of you here.
She said she swallowed a little bit of water on the way in, and you know, she was just having a little bit of difficulty breathing.
So she fell out of the kayak at some point?
Yep.
Any medical history?
No medical history, no allergies. She's definitely kept saying she was dehydrated, she's thirsty.
How are you doing? Hi there, how are you guys?
Thanks.
Paramedics arrive on scene, and the lifeguards bring them up to speed on the victim's status.
She was complaining of dehydration and thirsty. She was in the kayak. She was on a kayak, so she might have exerted herself. But we were getting a pulse of 100 and a BP of 90/60. But she definitely looks really tired. Eyes were pearl. She's tingling all over her body.
Now extremely weak and barely conscious, the lifeguards and paramedics begin to move the victim. They must get her off the beach and to the hospital quickly.
Transfer to the gurney. She'll go to the hospital and get checked out and get a further evaluation, but over time she definitely deteriorated. Her condition got a little bit worse.
Stuff over the rail and down on the ground.
Extreme dehydration and heat exhaustion are very dangerous. If not remedied quickly, they can result in permanent damage to both the internal organs and the brain. Meanwhile, 3 miles north of La Jolla Shores at Black's Beach, lifeguards are responding to a paraglider accident in the steep cliffs. Lifeguard Jason Yeager was the first responder.
I was watching a paraglider lose wind in his sail. I'd say he fell at least 200 feet.
Given the nature of this incident, the Lifeguard Cliff Response Unit and a rescue helicopter are heading to the scene.
Lifeguard dispatch, we just need a trauma pack, O2, some rope.
With help on the way, Lifeguard Yeager sends out more vital information.
Conscious breathing at this time, complaining of chest pain.
Firecopter 2 is on the scene quickly. Their first order of business? Dropping a fire department paramedic to assist Lifeguard Yeager.
31 Sam, we're in somewhat of a precarious position sitting down on a steep cliff. There's 3 of us here. Citizens IC, copy.
Sergeant Troy Keach is the incident commander. He takes control of the operation, coordinating all safety and rescue assets on scene.
And the most dangerous part of this call is actually just the cliffs, and whether they're stable, whether they're not. Was my rescuer in a position where he was secure and had really good footing? It turns out it was pretty dicey. You know, it was pretty difficult ledge that he was on. Is it safe for the helicopter to come in? Is it safe for us to carry the gear down these cliffs? There's a variety of things that I have to consider as a commander. Taking a pretty difficult climb to get down to that victim.
Put a belay on that.
Flake it out, John?
Yeah.
Paramedic Barry Links was dropped in by helicopter.
Because of the slope that we were on, we opted to request the guards that were on the trail to set up a anchor line and drop down a rope to us.
Pay attention. All right, I got tension up, right?
With the immediate danger of sliding down the cliff eliminated, Lifeguard Yeager and Paramedic Links go to work.
We knew he was going to be distracted on the helicopter, so we had a foldable basket or ferno carrier that he pulled down with him. We opened that up and then slowly, methodically placed the victim onto the ferno carrier. The victim was in quite a bit of pain and discomfort. We had to try to move to his likings and his comfort level, so there was some modifications made to his placement on there. As far as taking some of his clothing and our clothing and placing underneath his neck and putting his arms in certain positions because he wasn't very comfortable with his arms. His shoulders were giving him problems.
As the rescue team secures the victim in the ferno carrier, they prepare for the next vital step, extraction by helicopter.
As soon as we got him on the Ferno carrier and all stabilized, the helicopter made a re-entrance into the canyon.
But this extraction is fraught with danger. Crew Chief Tim O'Malley operates the winch that will hoist the paramedic and victim off the cliffside.
As we fly into these areas, the winds are unpredictable. It's unlike, the rolling terrains of mountains or the backcountry areas. This is a very steep, sharp cliff edge. So the winds act differently. It's something that we've become accustomed to and we've trained for, but it presents an additional challenge.
I got the hook. I made the connection to my harness. Then I bend down and I make the connection to the bag that is securing the patient.
As they take off, the victim and paramedic dangle 185 feet below the helicopter. Paramedic Lynx does his best to put the victim at ease.
As we were coming up the hoist, I was talking to the patient and reassuring them. It's often, a pretty scary experience.
With no time to waste, the rescue helicopter departs instantly for the trauma center. Traveling at 40 miles per hour, Paramedic Lynx and the victim are carefully hoisted up to the moving helicopter. Using this advanced maneuver while en route to the hospital saves precious time for the victim. Meanwhile, back at the site of the accident, Sergeant Troy Keach still has work to do.
When the helicopter lifts off, I want to make sure that all of my lifeguards are okay. I'm also concerned about, on this particular call, that the guy's wife and son were down on the beach somewhere, and I wanted to be able to find them and let them know what happened so, we can get his family with him up to the hospital.
The victim was a German tourist. His wife and son had made their way up from the beach to see the rescue. Only then did they find out the victim was no stranger.
From Germany?
Germany?
Yes. He's from Germany?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so you're at the hospital. Who's talking? You're at the hospital. So let's go, let's walk up top. You want to walk up with us? Yes. Since you were, tell me what's going on?
Yeah. I'm going to go down.
You guys speak English?
Okay.
Okay, when he was taking off, he was talking to me, okay? He's okay for now.
He was taken off the flight and his hang glider crashed.
Yes.
And the helicopter took him to the hospital.
Yes.
He's at Scripps La Jolla. So we'll go up there and we'll talk to the paramedics.
The victim arrived at Scripps La Jolla Hospital within 5 minutes and was rushed to the trauma center while his wife and son were escorted to the hospital by police. For lifeguard Jason Yeager, his dream to serve in the Navy SEALs may be over, but his drive to serve is a testament to the spirit of the lifeguards at Black's Beach.
The first lifeguard in seeing Jason did a great job. He actually saw the accident, he made the right radio transmissions, he got the right resources going initially, and he gave us great updates, and he got to the victim.
The best thing about being a lifeguard is it's the perfect lifestyle. I mean, you're doing what you love to do, and you're helping people out, and you're staying healthy and happy.
Sheltered by an offshore canyon, Del Mar, California hosts a beautifully protected 2-mile strip of beach that attracts thousands of people each year.
Hey, Del Mar has its own unique weather pattern. Mostly you have a gentle sloping beach. The waves don't get too big there.
But these calm coastal waters also attract something else: stingrays.
The stingrays can be found all over the beaches in San Diego and Southern California, but there are certain hot spots.
And beaches between Del Mar and La Jolla record hundreds of stingray incidents each year.
Typically stingrays like very calm, shallow water.
In the shoal, stingrays are free to congregate and hunt for small crustaceans, while being able to avoid many of their natural predators. Unfortunately, these are the same areas where beachgoers like to wade and swim.
North Beach Station 3, stingray victim, need transport.
7-4, we're not even en route.
Where were you at when you stepped on this?
Dude, I was probably 4 feet out.
Right out here?
Yeah.
What we had was a male who stepped on a stingray, received a small laceration to the foot.
Yeah, that's too much blood for shit, right?
In Del Mar, we tend to get at least 3, maybe 3 stingrays plus a day. So stingrays are relatively common.
Southern California is home to a variety of ray species, but it's the tiny, round stingray that packs the biggest punch. Measuring on average only 10 inches across, this little creature has developed an extremely effective defense mechanism.
Typically, this ray likes to bury itself in the sand, and it does that for protection. But unfortunately, because it's partially buried, it's very hard to see. So if a beachgoer comes out and happens to step on one, it's going to trigger a reflex to cause the tail to swing up, and the tail is where the stinger is located, the spine. And this spine, it has venom on it, and so, of course, when the stinger goes into your foot, it's not only the physical pain from the barb going in, but it's also this toxin that's going to start to really be very painful.
Many people describe stingray wounds as feeling like 10 bee stings all at once. But the pain from a sting can vary from mild to extreme and is generally associated with the deepness of the wound and one's own pain tolerance. Often, victims won't feel the full effect of the sting right away, so it's important for lifeguards to treat the wound before the pain increases.
It's really case by case. Some people go in here for a half an hour, some people go in here for a few hours.
The most common treatment for a stingray sting is to immerse the wound in very hot water, as hot a temperature as you could possibly stand. And that's because the toxin that comes from the stingray is made of a protein. And by exposing it to very hot temperatures, you're breaking down that protein so that it's no longer active and it's no longer able to really hurt you.
You're probably the first of a few to come here today, so.
Stingrays are generally very docile. Whenever they sting a person, it is never an attack. It is never done on the offensive. It's always done in defense. And so the best way to avoid being stung by a stingray is to shuffle your feet. If you're shuffling, dragging your feet, kicking sand in front of you as you're walking, you're going to scare away the stingray. It's going to move away very, very quickly, as opposed to just, say, marching on the sand where you could definitely step on one, and if you step on their back, you're going to trigger that reflex and have them come up and sting you.
On this episode of Lifeguard. In San Diego, the guards hurry to find a missing swimmer in the frigid waters.
She had dropped her father off at La Jolla Cove. Normally the swim will take around 35, 40 minutes. It had been over an hour. She'd gotten nervous and decided to come up and report it to the lifeguards.
She's alert and oriented times 2, and is showing signs of hypothermia and exhaustion.
Then, Black's Beach offers up some unique challenges for the lifeguards.
We do the exact same things here that everybody else does on any other beach, except we have skimpier swimsuits.
The lifeguard will come on scene and ask if they wouldn't mind putting their shorts on.
While in Huntington Beach, units respond as a biker falls head over handlebars.
First things you think about right away is head injury, possible cervical.
And in Long Beach, it's high speed and high danger for the lifeguards.
If you're going into a turn at 100+ miles an hour, you better be sure you can make the turn and have the guy next to you make the turn as well.
Something happened on the race.
Just had another accident.
We do got 2 guys in the water. They rescued them on their quick boats, and they just went by us at high speed.
The lifeguards of Southern California protect over 400 miles of coastline. And nothing impacts their day like the weather.
As lifeguards, a lot of us are amateur meteorologists.
Good weather brings a lot of excitement, a lot of action.
On these beaches, lifeguards are the first responders.
I have a 911 call of a distressed swimmer.
I like those exciting days where you don't really know what's going to happen.
Dispatch, a person injured on a vessel.
They are there to save you. They are there to lifeguard. Welcome to La Jolla, California, known as the Jewel City. This beautiful seaside community enjoys over 300 days of sunshine each year. The calm water here makes this area ideal for snorkeling, scuba diving, and open water swimming. But the weather has brought a change in water temperature that is concerning the lifeguards.
Well, it's summertime right now, and typically our water ranges from the high 60s to the low 70s, really warm water. The last couple days, we've had some upwelling of some cold water that has created unseasonably cold conditions in the water, so we're in the low 60s.
It's only 9:15, and the day's first emergency begins to unfold.
Did yesterday, and where does he normally land?
Yeah, no problem.
Right here, or over here by the bathroom? I had a young lady come up to me, let me know that she had dropped her father off at La Jolla Cove at 8 o'clock. Normally the swim will take around 35, 40 minutes to get from the cove to La Jolla shores. It had been over an hour. She'd been waiting on the beach for him, got nervous, and decided to come up and report it to the lifeguards.
If the missing father has been swimming in the 61-degree water this whole time, severe hypothermia could come into play.
Would he have turned around and gone back to the cove, you think?
I don't know.
The water is been chilly the last couple of days.
For lifeguard PJ Liebig, this line of work has always been in his blood.
My dad was a firefighter and a paramedic for 30 years, so I always wanted to do something in public safety. And as I got a little bit older, realized lifeguarding was a great avenue to do that.
As a veteran lifeguard, PJ has seen many things, but none stick with him like his first rescue.
Two girls were just walking in the shallows, about knee deep. The rip current that day was just cranking, as strong as I'd ever seen it. They got swept off their feet, and they were just getting pulled out that rip unbelievably fast. And then they went under. I knew they weren't coming back up. I grabbed the rescue board, I threw it in the water. I paddled as fast as I could. I looked down, and the water was clear that day. And I could see down there, and they were just both about 5 feet under the water, holding on to each other. So I was able to dive under the water, grab them both by underneath the arms, and pick them back up. And to my elation, they both took big breaths as soon as they got up in the air. It was the biggest difference between life and death I'd ever seen. No, believe me, that shouldn't take that long.
Short dispatch.
Dispatch.
We're fielding a report of an overdue swimmer, a 59-year-old male, who left the cove at 8 o'clock. He's 30 minutes overdue.
Lifeguards from all surrounding beaches scan the surface of the water for the swimmer. In today's cold conditions, he could be hypothermic and running out of time. Nearly 100 miles north of La Jolla is Long Beach, California. Sheltered by the wind and the sea, Long Beach is one of the biggest boating hotspots on the West Coast. And at the heart of Long Beach sits its pride and joy, Marine Stadium. This aquatic facility is one of a kind in California. Originally built to host Olympic rowing in 1934, this mile-long stretch of water has been home to maritime racing for over 75 years. And the competition keeps getting faster. Once a year, powerboats arrive in Long Beach to compete in one of the largest races of its kind. Robert Hamilton and other Long Beach lifeguards will be on patrol all day, working alongside paramedics as part of a larger rescue team.
Coming up to Marine Stadium, which is generally the water ski area of Long Beach, but today it's closed for the Sprint National races. As you can see, this is a confined space. Rocks all the way surrounding it, so you have a possibility of getting some serious accidents and crashes here. Speed and confined space don't go together. Hopefully there won't be any major accidents and everybody can go home and be safe.
Another worry for the lifeguards is the weather. If the winds kick up during the race, the results could be catastrophic. On the straightaway, these boats reach speeds of over 100 miles per hour. And when they crash at this velocity, the water is no soft landing. It's a sport that claims lives every year. Today, the difference between life and death could hinge on the response time of these lifeguards.
We've had a fatality at this race in the past, so anything is possible today.
Lifeguards will lie in wait on the outskirts of Marine Stadium, keeping a close eye on the races and deterring traffic from entering. The morning event passes without injury. But the winds begin to pick up just as the fastest boats are launched. The Cracker Boxes.
The Cracker Boxes date back to actually Long Beach Marine Stadium in 1938. They are basically a blown and injected big block, anything goes motor with over 1,000 to 1,500 plus horsepower, straightaway speeds upwards of 130 miles an hour.
And that design has never changed. The boats have modernized. They're fiberglass now versus made of wood. The engine is always set in front of the two drivers, and the second person was always an observer or like a mechanic.
These are one of the classes that we really watch out for because these guys do have a tendency to flip.
There's the start of the race with Miss Madison going on in first place. Thunderbolt with Bud Bailey in the third race boat.
They all got to make that turn at the same time. That's when it gets fun.
If you're going into a turn at 100 plus miles an hour, you better be sure you can make the turn and have the guy next to you make the turn as well.
The wind plays quite a factor in these boat races. We have what we call a blowover, where the vessel gets air underneath it and will flip.
But the impact in the water is huge if you come out of a boat. It's like if you were going down the freeway at 70 miles an hour in your car and opened the door and jumped out.
We've got something on the course. They just shut off the flares. It's a warning flares, meaning something happened on the race.
Just had another accident.
We do got two guys in the water. We're gonna hang back.
As Lifeguard Hamilton maneuvers out of the way of the high-speed rescue boat, the lifeguards find themselves in a race of their own.
They rescued them on their quick boats. They just went by us at high speed. They take them over to what we call Marina Park area, pretty much what we call scoop and run. We have the rescue teams from the race, we have lifeguards from the beach here, and we also have Rescue Boat 3.
The wind got under one of the Cracker Box boats, causing a high-speed flip. The passenger's face has been bloodied by the impact, but it's his leg that has everyone concerned.
Yeah, it hurts. It's going away. It got real bad when it first happened. Okay.
As for the condition of the driver,
howdy, guys.
He's just grateful to be alive.
How do you guys like that? Yeah, I'm good. I thought maybe I hit it. I think it's okay. I was trying to get ahead in the first turn. I was on the outside lane. That was a good lane yesterday, and just caught an edge going around the corner, and it just decided to go over on me. It's not something you plan on. I was crying. You remember like my leg? Remember the crash and all that?
Yeah. I did this as a favor this weekend. Usually I'm in the other seat.
I'm feeling fine. I feel very good. It was a good day to take a swim. This is fantastic service. It always has been with the safety people here. And I've been in the water here before. I can always rely on them. Boy, I barely flopped up on the surface and these guys were in the water with me. So it's really a good thing, really a good thing. Sprint boat racing.
Luckily, both of these men are able to walk away under their own power. But for them, the race ends here.
And nobody died today. Everybody went home safely. And that's the key for us, is everybody to go home safely. So that was a good day.
Go back out. I'm going to see if I can get the boat running again. I got to beat those guys this afternoon.
100 miles down the Southern California coastline in La Jolla, lifeguards are on the lookout for a 59-year-old swimmer who's gone missing in the unusually cold water between La Jolla shores and the La Jolla Cove. The man's daughter contacted lifeguard PJ Liebig when her father was over 30 minutes late returning to shore.
We immediately started doing a scan of the area. We looked off our beach here and we saw a large group, about 20 divers, waving for some assistance. So we responded with a jet ski and with 2 lifeguard personnel.
We got divers waving for help, and they have a person fitting that description for the missing swimmer. So start medics to the main tower. We're launching Jet 3.
When the jet ski got on scene, they found that it was the tired swimmer, and that same tired swimmer ended up being the father of the young lady that came and reported him missing.
Dispatch copies, possible diver emergency, requesting medics to the La Jolla Shores Tower.
When we were first going, there was a group of divers, and one of them was holding the individual in their arms in what we call a cross-chest carry, so they had their arm over the top of his chest. And from the first look of it, he didn't look to be very active. And so my first thoughts were we need to start patient care and transporting him back as soon as possible.
He's alert and oriented times 2, and he's showing signs of hypothermia and exhaustion.
Definitely water temperature would be a big thing with this individual. He was suffering from hypothermia.
Immediately, we wanted to address any medical issues. So I just wanted to do a quick evaluation of how aware he is, if he has any altered level of consciousness at all. Immediately, we got a blanket for him to help warm him up. So we were able to walk him directly up to the boardwalk here, transport him quickly to paramedics.
He's been in the water for a little bit about an hour and a half. Started in the cove. His daughter just come up to us, started feeling a little worried about it.
So you were just tired? You never submerged, anything like that? Huh? Never submerged, anything like that?
I pretty much stayed up all the time.
Okay.
Did you just get tired?
Cold. It was cold. Cold for you.
All right. I'm gonna put this on your right arm, okay?
Really cold, very tired, which is not a good case scenario when you're out on the water and pretty far offshore. The medics wanted to do a good evaluation on him. They thought maybe they could just warm him up and release him to the family. But when they tried to get a temperature on him, his body temperature was pretty low. They're having a hard time getting a good vital signs on him. So they decided to transport him to a local hospital.
This is Huntington Beach, one of the most beautiful beach towns in Southern California. As the air pressure increases, the temperature begins to rise, and the wind carries away the clouds, clearing the sky for a perfect beach day.
It's a beautiful day. This is a great day. It's pretty warm. It's probably at least in the low 80s on the sand. You get all that heat coming off the sand and just it starts to heat up everything else. And so that, coupled with the fact that we have just a little bit more surf today, it's going to make the day just a little bit busier.
Veteran Marine Safety Officer Tony Villalobos has been protecting Huntington's beaches since he was a teenager.
Probably like most tower guards, when you're 16, 17, 18, you're looking for a job just to get you by in school. And anyone who swims or surfs or grew up down here, it's a natural pull. You want to work in the area. This is sort of like the glamour job. It's a great job. It's just like any other service job. There's pros and cons. There's days that are very, very long and very boring, and there's days that you just can't believe how busy it is. 10-10-4 from Tower 5.
No, it's all good. I was by myself. I figured I'd just back you guys up.
We need to go back and grab a backboard. We have a lot of different variables to our job. Obviously water rescue. There's been days in my career where I've saved maybe 20 to 30 people in one day. Okay, thanks guys. Then of course you have to deal with law enforcement. You didn't hit your head or your neck or anything else? No?
Just,
Okay.
I felt
Just
flat
on your shoulder?
my shoulder.
And then you throw in the whole Mediclades. You have 100 different type of Mediclades you can perform in one day. There's just no such thing as a regular day.
Bike accident in front of Jack on the bike path.
So we're responding to a Mediclade. This is a bike accident. First things you think about right away is head injury, possible cervical. It could be something as minor as if I just stubbed my toe, or it could be something major as a person fell down, hit their head, and is unconscious.
Lifeguards in Huntington are trained EMTs and are the first responders to many medical calls on the beach.
But we're gonna get to the scene and do a quick survey and see what we have and go from there. When we got here, we found one victim laying down on the bike path. He was conscious at the time, but the bystanders had said that he had lost a little bit of consciousness at first. He wasn't wearing a helmet. There was obviously some visible signs of a head injury.
The report of a victim having been unconscious may suggest signs of a serious head injury.
We advised him at this time that we want to go ahead and try to package him, put on a seat collar, and have the medics come and take a better look at him. What we're gonna do is we're gonna move you onto our backboard. Go ahead and put your legs down for me.
Okay, you know what, guys?
Yes.
I honestly don't know if I want to be put on a backboard or...
It's very common for people to not want help. There's a little bit of embarrassment factor having ambulance, fire, paramedics come. So we have to try to let them know this is pretty major. You were unconscious for a little bit. Yeah. This is all free. Everything we do is free. Everything that, this is just to keep your neck and your back just in line,
just so we can have the medics come down, take a look. They can further assess you, obviously, making sure that nothing else is wrong, obviously. Great. Go ahead and put your
Since the hidden dangers of head injuries can often go initially unnoticed, lifeguards request a higher level of care.
We went ahead and did a full C-spine, immobilized them, put them on the backboard, strapped them down. We now transfer care to medics. When the medics got here, they said, we're going to go ahead and transport them to the hospital. Probably take them into Hoag and get a full check and x-rays and everything else there. I'm glad I was there to help them. It feels good.
Isolated north of San Diego, along the bluffs of Torrey Pines, lies Black's Beach. This 2-mile stretch of coast poses a unique challenge for lifeguards.
Up here at Black's Beach, we get the most intense calls. Anything that happens here is complicated. Nothing's done easy, but it's just beautiful. We have the nature reserve. We've got peregrine falcons, bobcats, all kinds of diverse wildlife. The surf's great. The water's some of the cleanest in San Diego. It's a beautiful place to be.
With pristine water and smaller crowds, Black's Beach is a nice option for anyone looking to soak up the California sunshine. But for some beachgoers, tan lines won't be an issue.
Black's Beach is one of the largest public national beaches in the world. It is probably the most known in the world. A lot of people think because we're new that anything goes, and it couldn't be further from the truth. You can do anything here that you would do on any other beach. That's the easiest way to explain it. The same things, we do the exact same things here that everybody else does on any other beach, except we have skimpier swimsuits.
Even though this beach has a laid-back dress code, lifeguards know it can produce some of the most serious calls. In March of 2011, one of those calls occurred.
We received a 911 call from our dispatch that there was a lady in distress on the cliffs, and she was in a precarious spot. She was probably mid-face on a 300-foot cliff on a tiny little ledge that basically was just big enough for her to stand on.
Lifeguard Lisa Darling, along with a full cliff rescue team, responded to Black's Beach.
And once we got on scene and we were starting to get our equipment to go over to access her, further information came in that she was naked.
The nude woman had failed in an attempt to hike down the cliff to Black's Beach. She was hopelessly stuck when lifeguard Darling rappelled down to her.
She was very relieved that I was there. She was scared, she was cold, and she basically was so happy to see me. She almost wanted to give me a hug, and I said, no, please don't do that. Just, you're in a bad spot. Let's get you down, and then we can talk about it.
Thanks to the lifeguards at Black's Beach, the woman was safely rescued. And while a lack of clothing will never prevent them from doing their job, they admit it isn't something they prepare for.
It's weird. I mean, there's no way to say it's not. It's definitely a strange, unique part of the job working this beach. And the guards that choose to work up here, they know going in that, hey, that's part of the deal. There's a lot of great things about this beach, but there's some weirdness about it too.
We're just doing it with our clothes off, same things you do. You know, play volleyball and hang out and swap recipes.
The nudists see this as a way to express their individuality. This expression, however, poses a challenge for lifeguards. Although most people choose to go to the beach in a swimsuit rather than a birthday suit,
It'd just be too bizarre wearing clothes and getting sand in my suit.
the nudists see this as a way to express themselves.
You're constantly pulling and tugging, it shows bulges. It's just so much easier not having to worry about it. I'm a proud nudist. Not everybody is. For a while, I wasn't. I was worried what my friends would think, what my family would think. So we're not going to judge people on what they look like. You get people down here, young, old, thin, heavy, scars, women with mastectomies, and nobody cares. They're a person. The body is just, it's just a shell.
As you can imagine, anywhere that people are out in public and they're naked, and anybody can come down and see naked people, it's going to present a problem. They don't want problems down here, so they'll actually come and report to us people that, you know, are shady characters and ask us if we could see what they're up to. They want a safe environment down here, and so do we.